Thank you for coming to our solid waste presentation. This will be a relatively brief overview of all of the changes that will be coming into place. The organic parts we're hoping to have on the streets in March of 2025, and then, but you will start seeing the fee on your real estate bill starting next month. So if you guys are ready to rock and roll, we ready? All right, so today's agenda, we're going to talk about the policy objectives. We're going to briefly talk about the summary of changes, the solid waste curbside budget, and the new solid waste fee, the organics recycling program, and when residents will be able to change your refuse, your trash cart size. So the solid waste policy objectives there was three. One of them was to essentially provide a financial incentive to allow residents to throw away less. The second policy objective was to implement a new organics program. Currently, we do have an opt-in program that is offered through Compost Crew. It is an additional fee that residents essentially pay for, and then the city subsidizes the rest. I also want to note that this is also part of our 20-year solid waste management plan that we submitted to DEQ last year, and council voted on it. So this essentially works hand in hand, working with that plan, amongst other plans. And the third policy objective was to address the fairness concern. So it has been raised that some residents in the city pay into general taxes, and they are not eligible for curbside services. Sorry, I keep hitting the button. So the summary of changes is the fee is essentially based off of your current trash cart size. So a 35-gallon trash cart essentially holds 2 to 3 13-gallon trash bags. And then a 65-gallon cart holds about 5 to 6 13-gallon trash bags. So the fee is essentially an incentive. So there's $100 difference between the 35-gallon fee and a 65-gallon fee. The new organics cart for both yard waste and food waste. It reduces, obviously, all organic. If you don't mind waiting to the end. Sorry, okay. So it reduces waste stream, pardon me, encourages obviously organic recycling, and then it provides, we will provide elderly and disabled low-income relief through real estate taxes. And Nikki will take over on that part because she is the expert. So I'll hand it off to her so she can explain about the elderly and tax rate.
So the city offers a tax relief program to senior citizens or totally and permanently disabled citizens. The qualification age is 65 years or older, and every citizen has to meet the income and asset criteria. So if you qualify for relief, then you also will get relief on your solid waste fee. We have the applications can be viewed online. The next opportunity to apply will be for FY27. Those applications will become available in January, and they're due each year by April 15th. You do have to reapply every year. We do the full application on your initial application, and we certify every 3 years. So 2027 is a certification year. Everyone will be doing the full application. And then the 2 years after that, if you qualified, it's a short 1-page form that's a recertification application. When you do apply, you're required, if you do file taxes, the program requires copies of your federal and state tax returns and all the financial documents that accompany that. And then any financial bank statements, retirement account statements. There is a chart published online that gives you the income bands. For example, if your gross household income is 0 to 60,000, then you qualify for 100% relief. There are 4 bands at 100%, 75, 50, and 25. And then the highest band, which I believe is over 90,000, only qualifies for deferral. For those who only qualify for deferral, there's no relief on the solid waste fee. Only if you qualify for one of the relief bands would that apply. And I'll be happy to take questions at the end. I'm going to turn it back over to Lonnie.
Thank you, Nikki.
And everyone will see this new fee on their real estate bill that will be mailed out next month. All right, so this slide essentially goes over just the curbside costs of the solid waste budget. So we have curbside collection fee, that's just our trucks coming to your home to collect, and that is 650,000, pardon me. Tipping fees for anything that we essentially remove from your home curbside is 210,000. Composting, so the 90,000 is essentially what we're currently paying for residents to decided to opt in with compost crew. So the 90,000 is our subsidy that we are paying for you to participate in that program if you do. And then the organic cart implementation. So we're budgeting that at 51,000. So the total budget that we will essentially be using for curbside services only is $1,001,001. So this slide essentially talks about the incentivized fee. So when we went to council, we provided them 2 different scenarios. One scenario, there was a $35 difference. And the other scenario, which is the incentivized fee, was a $100 difference. Council has chosen the $100 difference fee. So it is essentially, as I mentioned before, it is based off of your current trash cart. So the 35-gallon trash cart fee is $236. And a 65-gallon refuse fee will be $336. Everyone in the city, every property will see a 1.5 cent relief tax reduction in their real estate bill. So the table down here is essentially telling you based off of your home's assessed value. That's what the AV stands for. So depending on if you live in a $550,000 assessed value home, depending on what size cart you currently have, this will be your net impact. So if you have a 35-gallon, you'll be paying out $153.50 versus a 65-gallon is $253.50. And then it goes down to our highest assessed value at 2.5 million. And that table is down here. Whoopsies. Is this touch screen? Sorry, I didn't know that. All right, on to the good stuff. So your organics cart, your choice. So curbside residents have until October 31st to fill out our registration form online to essentially tell us if you want to opt out of the program or if you want to choose a different size cart. Currently, if we do not hear from you, you will automatically receive a organics cart the same size as your trash cart. So if you currently have a 35-gallon trash cart, and if we don't hear from you by October 31st at midnight, you will receive a yellow organics cart in 35-gallon.
Even if they're with the orange stickers, they will.
Even with the orange stickers, thank you. So even if you live in a townhome community, you have no trash cart, and you're 100% on the orange sticker program, you will still receive a 35-gallon yellow organics cart.
Unless you opt out.
Unless you opt out.
Do you have an example? No, it's like my current garbage can.
So the 35-gallon will essentially hold up to about right here, about your hip, and I'm 5'6". And then the 65-gallon holds about your waist. So.
Trash cans.
Sorry, 35-gallon or 65-gallon are the 2 sizes that the city offers.
Right, but currently our trash cans are Certified?
Do you live in a single family home or a townhome?
Single family.
You most likely have a 65.
It's very low.
Yep, so you have the 65.
Thank you.
So what can go into the organics part? Anything organic, so we can take your food waste, your brush, your yard clippings, you're deciding to shrub or trim your shrubs, leaves, anything in that nature. As I mentioned, we are aiming for deployment on this part by March 2026. And the current curbside composters that are using Compost Crew, if we decide that if we get the carts in time and we deploy in early March, then the subsidy will end for Compost Crew at the end of March. This essentially shows you everything that can go inside of your new third yellow organics cart. Pizza boxes. Pizza boxes currently right now is not accepted in either our drop off or Compost Crew because it's just too big, it's too bulky. But this program, you're able to put it. Cartons with no sheen, fruits and pits. I had a lot of questions about pits. Meats, vegetables, we're just asking that no whole carcasses, meaning that we are going into hunting season, so just no whole deer carcasses. It was a question. And then, as I mentioned, anything from your yard waste that we currently, or anything from your yard that we currently accept can also go into this bin. Just no dirt, sod, things of that nature. So the recycling, the organics cart timeline, right now we are in the second. Sorry. How do I zoom out? I didn't know.
Speed that when we had a big one.
Woo.
Here.
I was gonna say, I'll go here.
Okay, I'm not gonna touch it. I wish I had a pointer thing. So currently, right now, we are in the second step. So we are soliciting feedback from residents on what size part they want, or if they want to opt out. We are also doing a contract authorization to increase the cost for American Disposal to add this new stop to our contract. Then we will essentially make our purchase once the budget amendment is adopted in the second week in November. And then we are essentially waiting about 14 weeks, 15 weeks for the carts to come in. And then again, we are aiming for deployment in March. And then the completion of the city subsidy will end at the end of March. This is just a overview of the composting cost overview. So on the left, you will see our current composting. Again, this is an opt-in program provided by Compost Crew. And down at the bottom, you will see that $90,000, as I mentioned on the first couple of slides. And then on this side, you will see the new organics cart. So please note that the total city cost is $141,000 minus the 90. So that's where you get the 141 minus the 90. And then so that's where the 51,000 comes into place when I showed you the overview. But essentially everything is pretty much the same. The most important part and the most questions that we've been getting is, I have a big cart, I don't fill it up. When can I downgrade my trash cart to get the lower fee? So that option would be available to you late January, February time period. We want to essentially we'll open it up kind of, I'd imagine, the way that we're doing it now, with some sort of a registration form. So then the opportunity will come to you. You'll fill it out if you want to downgrade. However, I do want to note, you will not see the price change until FY27. So you will not see the fee change until November of 2026. So you can make your change late winter, early spring of 2026, but you will not see that fee change until November of 2026. Everyone's favorite part, questions? Yes, ma'am.
So this is one fee that's attached to your real estate bill one time or every year, what?
So it's in two different, yeah. Can't speak Texas.
So the solid waste fee is going to be on the real estate bill in 2 installments. You're gonna be half of it on installment 1 and the other half on installment 2. And it's gonna be on there every year going forward. Yes, ma'am.
Is the new waste management fee for the organic composting only, or is it for all of our current recycling and trash?
All
Oh, okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
How are those fees being paid now?
through your, just general real estate tax.
Okay, that's cool.
General fund, yeah.
One more question. I have compost crew right now. I have a little bin, so I keep my food compost in a little bin.
Mhm.
Are we gonna be throwing food scraps directly into these yellow containers? Or are we gonna put them into some sort of biodegradable compostable bag? I just think the yellow bins are gonna get very gross if we're throwing food directly.
Great question, great question. So you are able to place your food waste into compostable bags, brown paper bags, anything that will essentially break down, just no plastic bags. If that is what you choose to do, it's not necessary, but it is an option for you. Yes.
2 questions.
Mhm.
One, will you stop, collecting the brush and waste bags that you currently can collect that require stickers?
We will still collect that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
And so
Say
this,
still or stop?
We will still collect.
Okay.
and the second one is that for townhouses and smaller unit, living places, what happens if 2 or 3 people get together and share a bin?
We highly encourage that. We recommend that. So we understand that townhome communities, space is obviously very limited. So one of the options that we would recommend is that, you can take an entire row of townhouses and you can just get one 35-gallon bin to share with that entire row. Especially with townhomes, you don't realistically have a yard. So depending on how much food waste that you and your neighbors decide that you're going to be producing to place into those bins, then that is also an option. But bin sharing is highly encouraged.
Or it can't be left on the sidewalk.
Right. So it has to be placed in, obviously, an accessible place for all of you and your neighbors to be able to get to, but it can't stay on the street. It can't be, so, we'll take Winter Hill, for example. So Winter Hill has parking lots. So if you go into one of the parking lots, especially off of South Virginia, 9 times out of 10, you'll see carts all over the place. So you're able to place the cart, obviously not blocking a sidewalk, but some neutral location. Or maybe a resident says, oh yeah, I'll just leave it in my backyard. You're more than welcome to come in and drop it off. Totally fine. But placing the bin and taking ownership as a group to take care of such bin, coming up with some type of a schedule on cleaning out the bin and things is highly, highly encouraged.
What do you want to do if you want to opt out again?
I actually have forms that I have printed out. Scarlett, can you? So if you need a form today, you can fill it out today. I can take it with me and I will fill the form out on your behalf. A gentleman had a question before you, sorry.
To follow up to the compostable bags, the compost crew have provided they look like plastic bags,
Yeah,
but they're compostable. And you just use those, put those in the.
correct. Yes, ma'am.
The $286 for a 35 gallon.
236. 236. You want me to go back to that?
236, okay. Will half be on each real estate bill?
Yes.
Yes,
But if your house is assessed less than 550. Maybe less.
No, what that slide was showing you was the net effect of the tax rate reduction. So in order to offset the impact, council voted to reduce the real estate tax rate by $0.015 for everyone in the city. And then those who receive city curbside refuse services will have to pay the fee $2.36 for a 35-gallon or $3.36 for a 65-gallon. That will appear on the bill as half for the first installment and half for the second installment. That slide was showing you the offset of the tax rate reduction.
This will go along with the sewer tax.
Stormwater fee.
I mean, storm.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So you're gonna have tax charges, stormwater charges, and solid waste charges all on the real estate bill. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Just want to get this straight. With a single family home, there will be 3 different bins. You will have your trash bin, your recycling bin, and this organic bin.
Correct.
3.
If I currently have 65 gallons, I assume I do, but I opt to get the 35 gallon for composting, which price range am I gonna pay? The 236 or the 3, whatever it was?
The fee is based on the size of the refuse cart, the trash cart,
Got it.
the gray bin.
Okay, so I won't save money if I go with 35 gallon for, I guess, that's what I figured.
Yes, ma'am.
You said you're going to still use the bags for yard waste. Will we still be able to find the stickers for them
Yes.
in the same places?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And a new location that's selling stickers is Ayers Hardware in Westover and Arlington. So I know that some people travel there too. So since Brown's closed, they're now selling.
Great, thank you.
Yes, sir.
City's still gonna be doing leaf removal from the streets?
Yes,
They'll still do that? sure.
yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So I usually have branches that I just put out to the street. Are you saying I can no longer do that? That I need a yellow can to put the branches in?
Do you currently have a disability waiver on file with the city?
Yes.
Yes, so then, no, you would still be able to do what you're doing now. So you don't necessarily have to use a card.
So if I cancel out on the yellow card, then I don't have to do, because I only have the 2 now. I can just use the 2 cans.
Correct. Yes.
If we're not sure what size of yellow cart to get and find that the larger one is too much, later on, we trade for a smaller can.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
If we start with the larger size yellow cart and later decide we don't need all that capacity, can we trade out for the smaller one later?
If we have them in stock, yes. Yes,
Given to providing a smaller compost cart other than the one. They're beautiful.
yes, we met over the summer. And we brought our hauler, American Disposal, to essentially talk about the size carts that they would be able to service. And unfortunately, for the safety of their crews, they need a lift bar on the carts. So the smallest carts that we have is a 35, and then the 65. So, I mean, to protect the workers, that's why we're the smallest cart size we offer is 35. Any other questions?
I have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
It doesn't have to do with this, have to do with something else. I do actually live in Winter Hill on South Virginia Avenue. I've noticed for the last quite a while, they have not been rinsing out my compost thing and putting in a liner. And that's been for quite some time now. Do you know why they're not doing
Yeah.
that?
So compost crew stopped putting liners inside of the bags. They essentially mailed out a year's supply of bags to residents. So that's what they moved to, so they didn't have to keep the bags on them. So they could just quickly take the bag out, wipe it down quickly, and then move on to the next stop. I would reach out to compost crew and ask for your bags.
Down quite a while.
Never like.
I imagine that happened quite out.
Yes.
What motivated the city to do this? Because the complaints about
What?
the unfairness of the people who are paying full city taxes and not having
and having no collection in their apartments for refuse or recycling. That's why. So therefore, the city's undertaking this program where everyone
Yeah,
will have to get these big third bins.
well, no, you can opt out.
I know that, but if you opt out, what would be the disadvantage? I was going to ask a clarifying question after this, and that is, will you still have tree trimming pickup? Because you said the labels, yes, I presume that, but you said that these yellow bins would also take all that yard waste.
Correct.
So, and how does that get recycled? I mean, put to good use, you know, I presume the leaves and the branches were going to a certain kind of tree composting site, chipping, whatever they do with them. Here you're gonna have the big mess of trees and food and slop sitting in these big bins. How's that going to, how are things going to be sanitary? That, and then doesn't it destroy the opportunity to have the garden and the other sort of tree recycling taken away because you mixed it up with food?
So currently, right now, yard waste is essentially taken to Conventus out in Manassas. If you opt in and do the curbside composting program with Compost Crew, it's either taken out to Maryland or it's taken to one of their outposts, sites. So right now you have one organic stream essentially being split into two different areas, if you will, but they're both being composted, just in different facilities. Now since we're essentially taking it and we're putting it into one stream, it will now all go to Conventus, which also takes food waste. So residents of Prince William County, for example, were able to go there and drop off our food compost. So it's essentially, they take yard waste, they take leaves, they take brush, they take all of that. And we actually just had a tour of Conventus and it was quite fascinating. So it's essentially broken down just like any commercial composting facility. So whether it's food, whether it's yard waste, it all breaks down the same and it does come out as compost.
But we will be missing the opportunity to have just the branches and the natural yard elements recycled in whatever way they previously did it. You said they took it out to some of the facility, but what I had the impression that some of that was being used for the wood chips and mulching program.
No, so that's two completely separate things. So for example, curbside leaf collection that we collect curbside, that is then stored and mulched on city property, and then that is given back to residents in the spring of each year. This is a completely different stream that is off that's taken from city property.
Yeah, so you're
And
telling
it's
me
mulch.
all of those tree limbs and what have you that we put in the paper bags
Correct.
were really not being recycled.
It is being recycled because it's turned into compost.
We're not going to go to that facility that does exclusively that. We're going to put them all together and go to this other facility.
Well, our yard waste is currently going to that facility, but it also takes food waste. So for example, City of Manassas, that's where their organics goes to.
So how do you keep it sanitized? I mean, I can imagine people having, it seems like the smell of rotting garbage is going to be proliferating in many neighborhoods. How are you going to control that?
So it's obviously, we ask residents to keep the carts clean. They are city property, so we do ask that you keep the carts clean. Another way that you can essentially kind of take away some of the smell, it's the same way that we ask for composting, compost crew members essentially, is to essentially layer. In the summer is really when you start seeing the smell and things and that. I always ask residents, if you have room in your freezer, put your compost in the freezer. So you can essentially take it out the day before, whatever the case is, put it out, and you won't realistically have that smell or the mess. You can also layer. So if you put leaves on the bottom or grass clippings on the bottom, then food waste, leaves, grass clippings, and if you layer it, the material, the yard waste material will essentially absorb. Same thing with pizza boxes. If you have a pizza box, you could easily use that to essentially kind of break up the different layers in your bin. Yes, sir.
Will you still be able to use a card labeled brush?
Absolutely.
And what's the limit on size of brush that you can put in the yellow card?
So it is so per city code, you have to be able to close the lid. So brush small enough where you're able to close the lid is accepted.
Oh,
But if you bundle it or place it into privately owned containers, 6 inches in diameter and 5 feet in length. Yes, ma'am.
Will there be 3 trucks now collecting, 1 trash, 1 recycling, and 1 compost?
We currently already have 3. Yep. So the yard waste truck will now just be the organics truck.
Got it.
Yes, sir.
is there a way to take a tour of the facility?
So when I actually asked, so they actually stopped doing tours, but since we're now taking our organic stream there, that they opened it up to city staff. So I did ask, but they're for whatever reason, they're not. Yes, ma'am, you had a question.
Yes, if my townhouse is assessed less than $5.50,
Mhm.
I presume that amount on the 35 gallon will change.
Yeah, so this will go up.
So the charge you're gonna see on your bill is gonna be fixed. What's going to affect the net impact on your bill is the tax rate has been reduced, and the tax rate is gonna be multiplied by your assessed value to give you what the tax amount due is. So you're not gonna see these numbers on your tax bill. This is impact.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Does anybody need a registration form that they would like to fill out?
I can just
We
give
have
to
those.
everyone, so you guys can take a look at it.
You can take it home with you, as long as we receive the paperwork by October 31st, that's next week, Friday. You can drop it off to the permits counter in City Hall, or if you have a scanner, you can email it. Thank you, everyone. You've been fantastic. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you very much. Press the button. Again and again. These for the 6 o'clock. Yeah. Or you can take it with you. The 6 o'clock thing is gonna be at another station.
So we can email you the date, is it on the online thing, there's no email, I don't see an email on this as.